When Laura walked out of our house that morning, she didn't even look back. The wheels of her suitcase clattered against the concrete like applause, marking the end of something that was supposed to last forever. I stood in the doorway, pretending I didn't care, pretending I was fine. But the truth was, I had been dying long before she packed her things. Our marriage had become a ghost of what it once was. No laughter, no warmth, just two strangers sharing bills. The divorce papers were only a formality. She signed them with a smirk, as if she'd finally won something. And maybe she had. The first few days after she left were quiet, too quiet, the kind of silence that seeps into your bones. I woke up expecting to hear her footsteps in the kitchen. But all I heard was the hum of the refrigerator and the echo of my own regrets. I wasn't angry at her. Not at first. Just disappointed. Then came the photos. Someone sent me one, Laura, smiling in a restaurant, holding hands with a man I'd never seen before. The timestamp said 2 days after the divorce. 2 days. That's all it took for her to move on. That night, I poured myself a drink and stared at the empty living room. Everything reminded me of her: the couch we used to sit on, the framed photo from our honeymoon, her perfume still hanging faintly in the hallway. I wondered if she had ever truly loved me. I wasn't so sure anymore. 2 days later, there was a knock at my door. When I opened it, I froze. Standing there in the cold evening light was Hannah, Laura's younger sister. The one who used to tease me at family dinners and roll her eyes whenever Laura got too tense. Hannah looked nervous, but there was something else in her eyes, something I couldn't read. "Hey," she said softly. "Can we talk?" I stepped aside without a word. She came in, her coat still buttoned, hair damp from the rain. She looked around like she half expected Laura to jump out from behind the furniture. "I shouldn't be here," she murmured. "But I couldn't stop thinking about you." "About me?" I frowned. She nodded, lowering her gaze. "I know what Laura's been doing. She bragged about that guy. She met him even before the divorce was final." "I thought you should know." My chest tightened. Hannah bit her lip. "They met months ago." She said she just wanted to test the waters, make sure she had a backup before leaving you. It felt like a punch to the gut. The betrayal wasn't new. I'd suspected it. But hearing it from her own sister, it was different. Hannah stepped closer, her voice gentle. "You didn't deserve that." I told her she was making a mistake, she whispered. She laughed at me. I studied her face. She wasn't lying. The same tiredness that lived in me showed in her eyes. Maybe we were both victims of Laura's selfishness. "Thank you for telling me," I said quietly. She smiled faintly. "Please. I just couldn't stand seeing you like that." We stood there for a moment, two people connected by someone else's chaos. Then she sighed and sat on the couch, unbuttoning her coat. "Funny," she said, looking around. "It used to feel cold here when Laura was around. Now it feels warm." I couldn't help but smile. "Yeah, I've been cleaning up. Trying to start over." She looked at me, really looked at me. "Maybe you should. You're not who she made you out to be." Those words stuck with me, honest, tender, with a hint of something more. We talked for hours that night, about family mistakes and how sometimes people leave your life just to make room for someone better. When she finally stood to leave, the rain had stopped. At the door, she hesitated. "Would it be weird if I dropped by again? Just to see how you're doing?" I smiled. "Not weird at all." She smiled back, cheeks slightly flushed. "Good. Because I think you deserve someone who truly appreciates you. As she walked away into the foggy streetlight, I watched her go. And for the first time since the divorce, I didn't feel broken. I felt curious. 2 days ago, I lost my wife. Tonight, I might have met someone worth finding. Hannah started visiting every few days, at first under the excuse of checking in, but within a week, she stopped pretending. She'd show up with coffee, or dinner, or just a quiet smile and a movie suggestion. It felt natural, too natural. She was easy to talk to, funny, grounded. Where Laura had been sharp and controlling, Hannah was open, disarming, real. She listened. She laughed at my terrible jokes. She told stories about growing up in the same house that shaped Laura, a home full of rivalry, silence, and expectations. I always admired her, Hannah confessed one evening as we sat on the couch, the glow of the TV flickering across her face. She always seemed to have everything planned out. But then I realized she didn't care who she hurt. As long as she won. I looked at her, the sadness in her voice cutting deeper than I expected. "You're nothing like her," I said. She turned to me, surprised. "You really think so?" "I know so." Something shifted in the air. She didn't move closer, but she didn't have to. The silence between us was charged, the kind that only exists between two people who've both been burned, yet still dare to reach for warmth again. That night, after she left, I caught myself smiling. It scared me a little, how easy it felt to think of her, but it also reminded me how long it had been since I'd smiled at all. A few days later, Laura called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Her tone was casual, too casual. "Hey. I left a few things at the house. Mind if I stop by?" "Sure," I said calmly. "When?" "Tomorrow afternoon." When she arrived, she looked different, expensive clothes, bright makeup, the same fake confidence I'd once mistaken for strength. She walked in like she still owned the place, her eyes sweeping over the newly refreshed living room. "You've been busy," she said, crossing her arms. "Just cleaning," I replied. Her gaze lingered on the couch, where a blanket was still folded, the one Hannah had brought the night before. I noticed her expression change. "Who helped you clean?" she asked. Her voice tightened. I smiled slightly. "A friend." Her face darkened. "Hannah?" I didn't answer, but that was enough. She gave a bitter laugh. "Wow. You didn't waste any time, did you?" "Really?" I met her eyes calmly. Says the woman who started seeing someone before we were even divorced. That shut her up. For a moment, she just stared at me, then forced a smirk. "You think she actually cares about you?" "She's just doing it to get back at me." "Maybe that's how it started," I said. "But it's not like that now." Her smirk faltered. "You really believe that?" I didn't reply. I didn't need to. She grabbed her bag, muttered something under her breath, and stormed out. That evening, Hannah texted, "She came by." I replied, "Yeah." "How did it go?" "Exactly how I expected." A pause, then, "Sorry, I didn't mean to make things harder." I hesitated, then typed, "You didn't. You made everything clearer." A few seconds later, my phone buzzed again. "Then let me make it better. Come over tomorrow, I'll bring dinner." No more sad takeout nights. The next evening, she came. We ate, we laughed, and for the first time, I saw her not as Laura's sister, but simply as Hannah. Her warmth filled every quiet space Laura had left behind. When she rested her head on my shoulder as the night faded, it didn't feel wrong. It felt deserved, something grown from pain but refusing to die in it. Weeks passed. Of course, there were whispers, friends gossiping, judgment in familiar circles. Laura tried to stir things up, painting me as the villain. But people saw through her. She'd burned too many bridges to convince anyone anymore. One evening, Hannah and I sat on the porch, watching the sunset. She took my hand and smiled. "You know," she said softly, "I used to think falling for you would ruin everything. But now, I think it saved me." I looked at her, the woman who'd shown up on my doorstep when my world was falling apart, and smiled back. "No," I said quietly. "We saved each other." And just like that, the house that once felt like a tomb became a home again. Because sometimes, happiness doesn't knock twice, unless it carries your ex-wife's last name.